Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of The Daily here with Greg Lawless. I'm Nick Fershaw. Greg, it's Wednesday, December 8th, but it's also the first ever re-entry draft. We're going to see a handful of veterans out there for the picking for a handful of teams. Give me your impressions of what might happen today.
Well, 2 p.m. Eastern time is when the first stage one, they're calling it, of the re-entry draft will take place. And yeah, there are some big names out there. Jimmy Conrad, Juan Pablo Angel, Guillermo Barros-Schelotto. My feeling though is that those guys are all a little too expensive for teams to take a flyer on at this point. I think they're going to wait until stage 2, which is next week. I think in today's draft, you're going to see more, maybe a couple mid-level guys. I'm not expecting that much action, but you know what? This is MLS. You never know what's going to happen, really.
Definitely. Some other big names out there, Dima Kovalenko,
Yep.
Josh Wolf, and Frankie Hayduk. But from the older guys to some of the younger guys, the Generation Adidas Tour rolls on in Madrid, Greg, and they've got another big game today.
Yeah, they're taking on Atletico Madrid's reserve team today, and they're already on a roll. They've played 2 games. They beat Real Madrid's reserves last week, and yesterday they got a 1-0 win over Rayo Vallecano in a pouring downpour in Madrid. They beat Rayo Vallecano 1-0 on a goal from Peri Marosevic, who got on the end of a Dilly Duka corner kick. The rain, of course, made it really hard for them to play in the first half especially. The pitch dried out a little bit in the second half. That made it a little better. It was in the 51st minute. Juan Agudelo came on as a sub in the second half and really caused some problems again for the opponents.
And another great thing about this Generation Adidas Tour, every day they're turning in a video blog.
Yep.
Some of the funnier stuff I've seen all year.
And great highlights from the games as well.
Right. Well, from Europe back to the States, Greg, there's a new jersey down in Houston. New Jersey news is always big in Major League Soccer. Tell me what you think of the new jersey down with the Dynamo and a new sponsor.
Well, the first thing I'm waiting for is when Marco van Basten, the old Dutch legend, is going to be signed by Houston, because it looks a lot like the old Dutch jerseys when they were awesome in the late 80s. But I like it. It's kind of fun. It's it's very orange, if you will. And Brian Ching looking pretty good out there.
Yeah, they trotted out Brian Ching and Brad Davis, but Dom Kinnear did not wear the jersey.
Dom doesn't go for orange.
He wore his traditional suit. From Houston up to Portland, Greg, where they've got a handful of new billboards all over the city going out to promote the Timbers' arrival in 2011. Give me your impression. I think the Sounders have some competition in the marketing.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen what Portland's doing from a marketing standpoint when they went and put that billboard up in Seattle that was basically saying, no, Portland is Soccer City, USA, instead of Seattle. And I think this is just going, they're taking that next step again. What Portland is a great brand. You can see it all over the place with the lumberjack thing and the woods thing, and they have the guy who cuts off the logs every time they score a goal and that kind of thing. Now they've got a couple of very attractive people holding on to saws on huge billboards all over Portland. I think it's a lot of fun, and I cannot wait for this rivalry to really get going and for them to kick a ball in anger finally.
Well, you can see photos of all these new billboards up in Portland at MLSsoccer.com, as well as coverage of the Generation Adidas Tour in Madrid. And don't forget, the re-entry draft, 2 p.m. Eastern. See you tomorrow.